What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Bobby. I'm your host for this episode of Behind the Cards on the Wild Raven Tarot channel. Today, I have a special guest for you. Um, First, today we're pulling back the velvet curtain on the side of the metaphysical world that most of us don't see. We're talking to one of those magical people who makes the machine run at Llewellyn Worldwide. He's one of the ones turning mystical vision into mainstream hits, and he's here to spill the tea on what actually happens behind the scenes of the oldest metaphysical publisher on the planet. Please welcome to the stream the man, the myth, the person I'm surprised hasn't blocked my emails yet, Llewellyn publicist Markus Ironwood. Marcus, welcome to the show, man. Before we dig into too much, please tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
No problem. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me on the show. I'm always happy to come and talk about Llewellyn and what I do here and talk about all the fabulous books and decks and everything that I get to work with on a daily basis. So it's really fun to be able to do this kind of a thing and talk with people who are interested in it. A little bit about myself is I've been interested in the um, witchy occult world, the forces seen and unseen, the natural world, science, all these kinds of things. Pretty much since I can remember. I was always the kid who was running around the house in my mom's gardens and looking at how the rosebuds would grow, and then interested in mythology and knew that the oak tree that grew in the front yard had like this big history for all sorts of people around the world, and just always interested in those kinds of things. I got my first book on witchcraft when I was 18, and shortly thereafter started getting more and more and more. Um, and I started at Llewellyn in 2021 as a publicist. So it's been almost 5 years of working with all sorts of really fabulous authors who are writing on topics on everything from folklore to astrology to tarot to all sorts of things on witchcraft and ceremonial magic. And yeah, I pretty much exclusively work with the witchcraft, although there's other publicists here who do work on those as well. But yeah, I work a lot with the tarot, which is how we got connected. So sending you decks for reviews and authors and artists to talk with. So yeah, it's really fun to be able to work with these materials on a daily basis.
Um, what drew you to Llewellyn specifically? Was it the reputation, the um, variety?
So it was a opportunity that was made available at the time. I saw that there was an opening for a publicist. I had been working at Magus Books and Herbs here in the Twin Cities for 5 years as their event planner and coordinator. So I had already worked with authors on doing their book launch events or helping to publicize classes that they were teaching in our event room. And I've been doing that for about 5 years, and it'd be really fun. And it was really fun. I had started a podcast for the show, for the shop, where when authors were coming through town, whether it was for a book event or for a convention, I could sit down and interview them about their work and their new book and whatever. So I'd been kind of in the industry doing what I do now, just on a much smaller scale. The opportunity to for a publicist came by, and I was looking at it. And I wasn't honestly, I wasn't quite sure. I was like, I don't know. It seems like a good opportunity, but I was really good at being the event coordinator at Magus Books. I was really happy being a really big fish in a very small pond.
How did
uh,
that come about? Where you
so
got connected?
So I saw that there was a couple people that work here who had posted about the position on social media, and I'd already known a few people who had worked here, just from being in the industry and in the community and meeting them at places like Paganicon, or if the metaphysical sales manager had come by the shop to check to see what we were selling and if we had any questions about Llewellyn or whatever. So I kind of had known some people, and that actually speaks to a larger part of what I do, which is networking. It is knowing who's doing what, whether that's what are publishers putting out, what are shop owners carrying on their shelves, what are authors putting out and talking about, what are different community organizations doing in terms of putting on classes or local rituals. It's knowing those things and who those people are and networking with them, which is something that I've been doing for well over a decade at this point.
I have a lot of questions, and I've been trying to figure out. I really do. Um, the first and most obvious question for me is the 1901. Well, it's been around since 1901.
Yeah.
Um, did you understand the gravity of the job you were taking? How important this was? Because I view it as very important,
It,
personally,
it
as a witch.
it is. Llewellyn is kind of like it's the big guy in the room. We've been around forever. We've published thousands of books. We do 130, 140 some titles every year, plus doing the distribution for La Scarabeo, out of Italy, and our distributor for Golden Horde Press in North America, as well as Blue Angel decks. Um, we're huge. And so did I know that it's as a big deal? In some regards, yeah. I mean, my half of the books on my shelf before I ever stepped into this building were from Llewellyn, authors who I've enjoyed reading from and learning from for decades have published through Llewellyn. Folks that I work with now said Llewellyn was my first place I submitted to because I wanted to work with the people who have been doing this professionally for over 100 years. So yeah, it's a very special um, it's a very special position to hold as someone who works here, and being able to be trusted to do the job, to say, hey, go out into the world and tell everybody about all these fabulous things, and to walk hand in hand with an author or an artist to set up interviews or bookstore events or whatever it might be, to get as many people as possible to know about the product. Obviously, with the end goal of like, hey, purchase the thing, uh, please. That helps me, but it also helps everyone. It helps the author with their royalties. It helps the shop owner with their to pay their employees, to keep the lights on, to do all the things that we know purchasing a product can do. Um, and you can also get it from your library. That is also a thing. And it's really important for wherever you are interested in these things to find them, whether that's the local shop, the library, your bookshop.org retailer. Yeah, it's a big task.
I cannot remember a time when Llewellyn was not around me. Um, I grew up in a magical psychic type household, and it's just a standard. Llewellyn Almanac. I can't remember not having a Llewellyn Almanac um, in my life
I think I've got
forever.
one around here.
Um, yeah. So anybody who doesn't know what a Llewellyn Almanac, first of all, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Llewellyn has a half dozen or so different almanacs that we put out every year. Everything from the Witch's Companion, which is an almanac that goes along with the witch's date book. And there you'll find rituals and spells and essays about the different seasons, to the magical almanac for spells, to the Sabbaths almanac, which is specifically about the 8 Sabbaths. Um, oh wait, I got one right here. The herbal one, 2006 herbal almanac. I knew I had one around here. So this is going to feature all sorts of things on herbs and gardening and cooking and recipes and self-care stuff, composting, fun illustrations on how to build your own composter. The Llewellyn Almanac series comes out every year, like I said, and it's really, really fun way of engaging with new and old material. So it's fantastic.
I think next to tarot and oracle, that is my favorite part of Llewellyn is the almanac, because it's kind of like a catch-all type
Oh
thing.
yeah, I keep my astrology one right by my desk just to know what are the planets doing, where are they moving, what's going on. We've got all the times here, so I do
I
reference
got a
it.
calendar up here for the same reason.
Yeah.
uh, she says, I need that, Marcus. Selena. So I should point out, you guys, Selena, who you know as my sister and one of my besties, um, she will be having Marcus on her show coming up also to absolutely tear into him in her own special way. Um, so what is the process from beginning? I gotta know this. This has been the question I've wanted to know. From the time of an artist conceiving their item, whether it be a book, oracle, or tarot, um, or other items. I'm going to ask you what other items Llewellyn deals with also. So many questions. Um, what is the process from beginning to completion?
So it's a pretty long process.
I
Doing
realized this as I asked it.
No, it's a great question, and it's one we get asked all the time. I go to conferences a couple times a year, and folks come up to the table, or we do full workshops, or not workshops, but panels on what it is, what the publishing process is like. So it's a fantastic question. It's pretty long. Generally speaking, a author or an artist will submit an idea, generally through the website. Although, again, if we were at a conference, sometimes we do 5-minute pitches, and you can submit stuff there. You scroll Llewellyn.com, scroll all the way down, hit submissions, and you'll get all sorts of information there on how to begin this process. When an author, well, no, most of what I work with is the book, so we'll just say author. When an author submits their manuscript, it goes to the acquisition editor. They'll contact the author and talk about it and ask them questions about the project, maybe some directions that they say, hey, this is really great. What do you think about this direction? It might have a little bit more appeal than maybe the narrow vision that might have been first submitted. It goes to the acquisitions meeting where the title will be submitted to the executives, the marketing, the sales, publicity will throw in their 2 cents, where we can see and go, hey, is this something we want to acquire? It then goes, yes, this essentially, again, we're talking sales. Yes, this has a place in the marketplace. We can totally sell thousands of copies of this. Let's go. It then will go through a process with the acquisition editor and the author where they really refine the manuscript. We'll go through and do that kind of content developing. So it takes it from that ball of like clay that kind of looked like the pot to like, hey, now it's an actual book, pot, whatever metaphor we're using.
Right. Yeah.
And then goes to the line editor. And that's when you're going to get into the nitty gritty grammar details. You're not so much working on the content in that point, but you're getting someone who looks at like the grammar and the punctuation, but also hey, does this need a citation here? This seems like it might be plagiarized. Like, where did you get this from? Let's talk, some of those more not as fun, more magical things, but a little bit more
Right.
practical book industry. All of our editors have decades of experience at this point of working on magical books, on folklore books, so they have that kind of subject matter expertise. It it happens several times where, let's say we've got a book that we don't have an editor who knows about this particular subject. We'll go find an editor who does work in that particular culture to make sure that we're still getting a product that comes out of a particular culture with the best kind of editing possible. So at this point, we're about a good year or longer into that manuscript's life. If there's art that needs to go into it, those art pieces need to be created or they need to be licensed from whoever the art is owned by. That's about when I step in and I contact the author and say, hey, the book is about 6 or 7 months from completion. Let's start publicity. Let's talk about book signing events. Let's talk about reviews. Let's talk about podcasts like this one. Let's talk about let's talk about conventions if they're near a place that has a pagan pride day or yeah, I'm going to go be visiting family in whatever city. Oh, perfect. I've got a great shop. If you can step away from your family for an afternoon or an evening, let's go set you up at this place. So we make this big long publicity plan and then we start sending out the galley, which is like one of these fine books. Um, it's an earlier manuscript, but it's got enough edits that a reviewer can get a feel for the book, get an understanding for the book. This one is at Swamp Sorcery by Mystic Dylan, coming out in June, excuse me. He's over in LA, so he's working on setting up his book signing events right now. And then I generally work with the author on their title about 2 or 3 months past the release date, and then hopefully we've done enough work together where they can go, okay, I see how this is done. I see how contacting a bookstore works. I see how contacting a reviewer works, and I've given them enough tools and shown them how publicity works that they can then take the book and go further. While I continue to work with the other 69 authors I work with at any one point in time.
Um, so what aesthetic define Llewellyn's aesthetic, first of all, because that's plays a big key in everything.
Sure. So I say we try to be is appeal to a broad as audience as possible while still maintaining what people are interested in. As you can see, I'm in the office. I work in a beige cube. So in terms of like boots on the ground, it's a little bit plain Jane. But everybody's cube has got stuff. Like I've got like my statue of Hermes up there. It's communication, right? It's communication, it's networking, it's travel. I do that. I have them up there. I've got like my favorite stones. So everyone kind of has their little place. I see you got very excited when I mentioned Hermes.
I did, and I'm proud of myself for not screaming like a little bitch.
Nothing wrong with that. Please be excited. Please be excited.
Hermes is my lord. Hermes is oh, that's right. You know Aaron. Aaron Maza
Oh
is a
yeah,
friend of
yeah.
yours.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've worked with Aaron for a couple years. I've worked on booking some authors on their show. I'm so happy that they have a book out through Cross Crow. Aaron's fabulous.
It for anybody who doesn't know, Aaron Maza wrote a book called The Living Lenormand.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
it's up there. Um, he
Ah,
is also a devotee of Hermes. He's been on Behind the Cards. Um, when he told me that, I basically shit on myself. Um, it's rare to find somebody for me who views Hermes in the same way, and to hear two people recently just makes my spirit jump. It really
nice.
does.
That's wonderful.
Um, so Selena has a couple questions. She points out the emails you must get. Um, I'm sure you guys turn away a fair number of people, right?
We do. We get a lot of submissions. Not every submission that we get is a good fit for Llewellyn. Some are just would be better at a different publisher, whether they're more general self-help. We're a little bit more specific. If it's a witchcraft book, definitely submit it to Llewellyn. If it's something tarot or folk magic, definitely.
Yes.
If we're doing, um, general gardening, while we do have a lot of books that touch on gardening, we're gonna want that folklore aspect. We're gonna want that mythology. We're gonna want that how are you working with the spirits of the land? Something that touches on the spiritual aspect. I think somewhere in our tagline or byline or something, it's mind, body, and spirit. So it's combining all three is stuff that we really are excited when it comes through. And unfortunately, we do have to say no to some folks. Not that they
Um,
aren't wonderful, they're just maybe not the right fit for us.
at the moment, it's just not working right. Um, what percentage would you say is successful in getting their book launched and or item launched, and what percent um, tends to be
So I'm
not
not
working?
really in those meetings, so it would be really hard to give like a, "Oh,
Right.
yeah, 50% or 90% or 5% or whatever it is." It'd be hard to say. I do inquire with my boss like, "Hey, how'd the acquisitions meeting goes?" And some days it's, "Oh yeah, we took everything like from this meeting. Like the acquisitioners really brought it this time. We loved everything that came through." And then some were, the one was really good. The others just need some polish or some revisions. So it would be really hard to give
Yes.
like a percentage.
I saw you waving a deck around. What deck was that you were holding?
I've got like five of them in front of me, but this is one of the newest ones, which is Ally Oracle. Um, hell yeah, I love it. I love both of these folks so much. Laura Tempest Zakroff did the lovely paintings for every one of these cards, and Dodie
Yes.
Graham McKay.
Laura
And there's
Tempest
her new book.
Zakroff. That's
Yes,
her new book.
absolutely. Tarot by Tempest. She
I've
got
got it on
two
here.
this season. It's incredible. And I love Dodie Graham McKay. She's up in Canada. I love her so much. I love her approach to witchcraft, which is so rooted in the earth and the people who live here and the people who have lived here. It's really, um, uh, it's so grounded in spirit and human spirit and animal spirit and spirit of place. I just love talking with her so much. So Dodie's wonderful. This deck was actually inspired by her previous book, which came out last year, 2024. It was the month before I got married. It was very busy. A Witch's Ally, which was her second book for Llewellyn. But that's all about working with animal spirits around you, also in more ethereal spirits. There's recipes for like dog biscuits in there. It's a fabulous book.
So, this deck, I will be doing a live unboxing of it tonight.
Yay!
Um, and I've decided to do my unboxings live. It's I'm not going to go into my reasons, but I have a reason for it. So, the other deck I wanted to show everybody was that one.
Yes, the Oracle of the Vampire Fae. That is a Blue Angel deck. Like I said, we are a North American distributor for Blue Angel, so that one's been really good. I think I had gotten like 2 dozen requests from tarot reviewers or card reviewers for that deck. So yeah, it was really, really popular.
So, you brought up something interesting. The American distributor. What other companies would people know that you're a distributor for?
So we are a distributor for, like I said, Blue Angel, and that comes out of Australia. Um, we have La Scarabeo, which comes out of Italy. They also do a lot of tarot decks. Do I have any Dante's Inferno? This one came out last. Yeah, let's Scarabeo. Charles Harrington, I believe, wrote the guidebook for this one. Love Charles. He's over in San Francisco. Should I say that? I did. Bay Area. Uh, no, he's great. So yeah, we do La Scarabeo, Blue Angel. We also publish distributor for the Golden Horde Press, which is those really fancy, very old texts that are done by Dr. Stephen Skinner. So if you're really interested in like ceremonial magic and grimoire magic and where that all comes from, we distribute like these really beautifully well done translated
Wow.
editions of these old grimoire texts.
Wow.
They're not cheap, but if you're into it, they are totally worth it. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give a little plug for one of our newer books. So
Please do.
if you're like, those look so cool, how do those work? What is, you want to get into something like this. D. Norman is coming out again in May with The Seeker's Guide to Grimoire Magic. This is a really great introduction, dip your toe in to this world of ceremonial grimoire texts magic. It's really accessible, and again, beautifully done. So if you're looking for something like, how do I get into something a little bit more advanced or a little bit more out of what
Structured.
you're structured, what you normally do, you've always been interested in like what people who lived hundreds of years ago were doing, this is a really fun and easy accessible guide for how to figure out what's going on in here. So again,
That
Secret's Guide to Grimoire Magic by D. Norman.
that is a great point you bring up. There are different types of books, from what I call fluff to deep magical manuscripts, and Llewellyn covers the spectrum. I dig that. I really do. There's something for everybody. Um, I was going to ask a certain question, but upon reflection, it's probably not a good one. I was going to ask if there ever been a type of issue um, where you had to pull the plug, but that's probably behind the scenes gossip or anything.
Well, I won't name names because is what it is,
Yeah,
but it does happen where there's it generally happens fairly early in the editing process where the acquisition editor, like I had said, you work with an author, will work with them, will work with an author, and it might just be conflicting visions over where this process is going, conflicting ideas over citations or those kinds of things. So it's happened before where, a contract is signed, you're working with the acquisitions editor, but it's just not working. It's not a good relationship. And you just, will have to pull the plug, or the author will want to step back and say, hey, look, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not what I want it to be. We can step back and go, okay, let's cancel this contract. Let's, best of luck on your journey. We're going to take ours and hopefully separate as amicably as possible.
peace. Uh,
And that's the very professional way of saying sometimes it is not
it
good.
just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty rare. I will say it's pretty rare for that to happen. I would say in my time of being here in 5 years, it's happened twice that I can think of.
Wow,
So
that's
it's
not bad at
pretty
all.
rare. Working with a traditional publisher means that you're in a professional relationship with somebody. You're both coming to the table with this creative project, wanting it to be the best possible. Most folks know that it is collaborative. You're working with an editor, you're working with someone who has decades of experience doing these kinds of things. So going to trusting the editor in the process just as much as the editor will trust the author to bring their subject matter expertise, bring their real world lived experience teaching these classes or working with these spirits or these folk magics or whatever it might be. So generally 99.9% of the time it's a wonderful thing.
99.9%.
And that point one
And
is a
then there's
little
that one.
crazy.
So we had a question from Amethyst Ascension. Hey Rochelle, how you doing? Does Llewellyn have a policy on working with AI art decks?
We do. We have put into our submission guidelines um, uh, around put in language around AIs in our submission guidelines, and essentially we want to respect artists' copyright and integrity. So when submitting something, you need to be very transparent on whether you're using AI or not when submitting when submitting to Llewellyn. And as far as I'm aware, that's going to be for any of the Mind Body Spirit publishers these days.
All right. Rochelle puts decks out too. So I look at the people around me who put out decks. One of my best friends I've never actually met in person is a deck artist. Um, I'm not gonna say his name, Selena. Shut up. I get crapped on for bringing up his name a lot, and just because it's. I have a friend named Chris Butler. There, I said it. You
Mhm.
happy? And the joke is, he finally mentioned his name again. Uh,
The name, I believe I'm familiar with Chris Butler.
he did the Healing Light Tarot
Yep.
and the Oracle of the Hecatane Path from Los Scarabeo.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So let me see. Check my
It's actually
notes
one of my
here.
that's actually one of my husband's favorite decks. He's always using that one.
Which one?
Oracle of the Hecatane Path. Not to
Yeah.
spill his tea, but there you
Those are
go.
my deities, Hecate and Hermes. That is it. There it is. Selena, Chris Butler. Yes. Um, transparency is important because it's so important to people. Yeah. With the AI decks, there has been a huge debate over the past couple of years. I've noticed with AI versus analog art. I don't know how you'd call it.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people are very opinionated on that.
I certainly have my personal and I would argue professional opinions on AI usage. I mean, if we want to go there, we totally can. I just would every angle of it needs to be examined thoroughly. I think as humans, we have the capacity to do that. And it's everything from the where the data centers are built, how they are run, the communities they affect, the environmental impacts of them. And that's before even talking about the AA program itself. So, like, we really, if you're looking at like, oh yeah, I've heard anywhere from it's 1 bottle of water to 6 bottles of water for every time you generate a prompt. Um, Man, that's a lot of water. I think if we could really use water in better ways to maybe, I don't know, feed people. I'm a bit, I'm a student of Starhawk from back in the day. So my first,
Really?
well, I say student of Starhawk. It was one of my first books, and so kind of having that when we're doing magic and we're wrestling with these topics, we have to go to the earth first because without it we literally have nothing. We don't have bodies without the earth. We don't have minds that can process these things without the food and the water that make us who we are. um, so if we're talking about difficult conversations like AI, what's the environmental impacts? And I want to unpack that before we even get to the heady ethics of copyright and It's like, okay, but what's happening? Where are these places? What's happening in the communities around them? What's going on with the people who are directly affected by the water usage and the electricity usage? So, like, that's my feelings and thoughts around it.
I'm with you. I personally prefer to see actual artists doing actual art. Um, even collage art, I love.
Mhm.
Um, I'll tell you what really bothers me. There's a deck that I love, and oh, screw it. It's the Divine Masculine Oracle deck.
Hmm.
I love that deck. Um, what I do not like about it is the one card that I don't like is Hermes.
I was gonna say it's gonna be Hermes.
I was so pissed when I saw that deck. I'm not going to blow it for anybody, but I'm going to blow it for everybody. The Hermes card, his hand is AI'd all fucked up.
Oh no.
um,
I'll have to check that one out again.
yeah, I
It
didn't
came out, I
like
think,
it.
2 years ago, something like that.
I've gotten it for several people. I've
Hmm.
referred it to. I love it. I just don't like that they let that go. And if it was intentional, I don't like it. Um, maybe it's just because I'm a big old follower of my lord, but yeah. So
Yeah, you really want that image of this deity who you revere so deeply to be represented well.
it was too soft, too delicate. No, people have this weird image of Hermes as a delicate, soft little thing. No, he was a warrior. His name was Argifantes, the Slayer of Art. Not the time to go into
Yeah, I
Hermes.
love it. I love
I
when
know.
people are passionate
I
about
get
things.
worked up about it. It pisses me off. Um, so what did I miss here? Oh, so yes, Rochelle says there's a lot of talk of the data centers, but AI art is a small part of what those data centers actually use. The internet and social media and algorithms all run on AI, and so is the medical. I know. Um,
It's becoming very pervasive, and just going back to, like, if it's all pervasive, what's it how is it affecting our daily lives? How is it affecting the cost of our water and our electricity? Um, Even if the art and the those kind of generations, those kind of products is a small thing. We add the social media, we add in all the data analytics, and you start building out what the pie is and how we're all affected by it. Well, I'm still affected by my water, the price of my water, and the price of my power, and the pollution that some of these centers put out. Where are they being built in these communities? Do the communities want them there? I know up in Duluth, there's a big one that they're going back and forth with the city council on. Just because I've been following that story. I went to school up in Duluth, so it's still near and dear to my heart. That big old lake up there. I love Lake Superior so much, and I haven't been in many years, but I want to get back. So I think about the Duluth community often, and how they raised me and supported me in my early 20s, um, and they're dealing with a data center there, so it's interesting to say the least. And I don't know. We need to come together as communities and figure out what we want. What structures do we want in our communities?
yeah. Um, this is going to sound silly, you guys, but my main reason for having issue with AI is the Terminator. I'm of that generation where we're like, yep, this is gonna happen. Um, so what would you describe your personal vibe as when it comes to art aesthetic? What do you prefer?
I really love, I mean, I'm big into nature, so anything that's green and growing, and like when this one came out, I'm showing off all the decks, but just like this, like watercolor. I love like we talked about Laura Tempest Zakroff. That's um a big I love looking at her art. It's so beautiful. I also like anything that depicts, the sacred masculine. Around my house, we have lots of art of the divine masculine on our walls, and it fills me with like pride and excitement to see those kinds of images. So that's my vibe. It's very green and growing and kind of lusty.
let's talk about that for a second. The type of book you sparks a question. I mean, when I say I had a list of questions, a lot of things I wanted to cover, I really had trouble even focusing it down to um, a little bit here. So, wait, let me check my notes. Oh, yeah. So, does a creator of a deck really need to have 50,000 followers to get noticed by a publicist today? Um, or
I don't
is there
think
certain?
so. No, I don't believe so. Some of the artists that we've worked with recently don't have tens of thousands of followers, but they'll have a couple thousand. It does, if you're an artist and you're putting your work out on places like Instagram or you've got your website, we want to see that people are interested in it for sure. But it also comes down to, is this someone who is able to create 78, sometimes more, images at a professional level that all look like they can be part of the same piece? It's a big undertaking. We've got a deck coming out later this year, I believe November or December, and that deck has been in the works for at least 4 years. I remember it coming through pretty soon after I started here. Um, and so to sit down and create that much work is a huge undertaking. So it's not really like, "Oh, are we gonna get, do we have to have the artist with the most followers and the most engagement and da 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 da." No, not necessarily. It also is a big component is, can you produce this massive volume of work um, in a reasonable time? And
Define reasonable time.
so I believe most decks take about 3 years to develop. Sometimes you need more time. That we understand that authors will apply for, or not apply, but will say, "Hey, I need an extension of another couple months or whatever." And things pop up. There's health stuff. The world is a big, scary place, and sometimes you're not fully able to sit down and go, okay, today I'm going to write my 500 words, and tomorrow I'm going to write my 500 words, and tomorrow, that takes a long time. So we understand that if you don't come in with a fully formed manuscript and that doesn't get contracted as a fully, you got the whole thing right there, it's going to take time. Certainly with the tarot decks, those are and oracle decks, those aren't coming in to the submission saying, I've got 78 images ready to go. It happens occasionally, but for the most part, it's, an author and an artist coming to us or to another publisher saying, I've got this idea. Here's a couple pieces. Do you want it? And then the contract is built out from there.
Um, I know what I want to ask. I don't know if I should ask, and I don't know if you will answer. Um,
I can always plead the fifth
how
and
how
not
do
go on
you
an
say,
environmental rant.
right? No, I love that. Are you kidding? I wish more people took that in consideration. Um, Working with people and using your intuition. Um, would you say you use your magical intuition when doing your job?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think there's occasions where it's popped up and said, "Oh yeah, go check on this," and then I'll find a link. Or like, "Oh, this is interesting," and I'll go find a link. "Oh yeah, oh look, there's this person, and then there's this person doing reviews," and so some kinds of it will snowball from there. Um, but I would say mostly being open. Just kinda be open to what people want, especially when I'm looking at, like, reviewers or interviewers for projects, not trying to pigeonhole people too much into, like, "Oh, you have a podcast on witchcraft. I'm only gonna pitch witchcraft books to you. Being a little bit more open and saying, hey, we've got maybe this book that has a more psychological bend on things, or hey, there's this topic over here, like, yeah, you do witchcraft, but like we've got some folk magic, which maybe won't call itself witchcraft, but maybe we're doing similar this person and this author are doing similar things. Let's put them together, see what happens. So just being open to possibility is far more of a daily occurrence for me. Obviously, like, the witchcraft podcasts like to have the witches on, and the tarot podcasts like to have the tarot writers on,
Yeah.
but sometimes I really like to say, hey, what about this, try this, this is a little out of the box, but I think there's a connection here. I think you guys would really get along great. It's one of the reasons why whenever I'm working with a new author or a new person that I haven't worked with before, I like to have a good hour-long conversation about their book, about what they want to do. But it also gives me a good chance to see who they are, how they are in front of a camera, what their demeanor is like, and so I can go, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna get along so great with this show, and let's try for this one." And that way I can, when I turn to the media, whatever that looks like, and I go, "Oh, you're gonna vibe with this person so much. You're gonna love this person. You're gonna, let's try this one. I think you're gonna get along great, even though it doesn't quite fit the aesthetic of your show. I think you're really gonna groove." Like the other day, I pitched the Tarot for You author. It's Tarot for You. It's pretty general. I would say it's very accessible to anyone who's interested in tarot. But I pitched it to a more occult.
Helen?
Yeah, totally. I pitched it to a show that is far more occult in nature, borderline like ceremonial magic, definitely a darker vibe. But what the host and producer were asking for was so in line what Don Michelle is talking about. I'm like, I think this might be an interesting fit. And then we're bringing people together who probably are under the same big umbrella, but maybe aren't in taking the same workshops, maybe aren't doing the same rituals or interested in necessarily the same things. But I'm like, I think we can talk to each other and expand each other's audiences. So that's a really long-winded of saying, like, just being open to possibility is kind of my daily thing. And I try to do that in my magic and my daily practice as well. If I'm doing specific ritual, I try to be open to see how that will unfold and what those spirits and guides want to show me or tell me, or what my own stuff bubbles up and how that might evolve and or change and burn and get rid of.
I have to say hello to somebody. This is Raven Tarot Meditation, or as we all know him, Timmy. What's up, Timmy?
Hello, Timmy.
Now the only one missing is Joanne. I'm kind of. I have this one subscriber who comes in, and every time she comes in, I can't stop myself. I have to say her name in a certain way. Her name is Joanne Miranda, but I can't say it like that. I have to say Joanne Miranda every time she comes in. You got to make life fun. So one of the people I've interviewed recently from Amityville, Dina Rosenberg,
Yeah.
um, was talking to me about her deck that she just came out with, and the process of being matched up with artists. She went in with an artist, which I hear is unusual. So have you had pushback from people where they're like, no, no, it's just not, no, it's not for me.
Not that I'm aware, but that's kind of a more that'd be a conversation or a question for someone like fully like in the department, the art
Right?
department. Maybe we can see if we can get Barbara Moore on your show. She is the acquisition editor for Llewellyn. I'm sure she would have a lot more to say, and
That
she
would be
and it would also
amazing.
be very professional in her answer. But yeah, she would know. That's a pretty detailed question for. I'm so far on this end of the timeline inspector, and like
That's
They're all over.
fine. To uh let's shift there. So, um what type of hold on. What okay, here's misconceptions. What is the one thing authors think that you can do but you really don't? And what's the one thing they that you do that nobody realizes that you do?
Those are great questions. I think some of the misconception is that authors are going to get like a dozen, 3 dozen interviews, and it's all gonna work out perfectly. And the reality is, even though there are a ton of shows and there's a ton of opportunity out there, I'm also working with like I said earlier, I'm working with about 70 different titles a year, which
Dude.
is at least 70 or more. Sometimes books have more than one author. Um, a year. So the workload, and maybe that's what people don't someone who's not aware of the industry, the workload is so much. It's a lot. And so any day can be filled with pitching a couple dozen different titles to at least a dozen or more media outlets, bookstores, conferences I'm talking to about saying, "Yeah, you want this person presenting, or you'd love this person as the guest of honor." It it really ranges the gamut, and the workload is so much. I really wish I could spend way more time with every one of my titles. I just there's not enough hours in the day.
What are some of the most popular titles that you've worked on that we would
Oh, sure. Well, I just saw some sales numbers yesterday, and The Psychic Art of Tarot by Matt Oren came out a couple years ago. That is still a really popular title. It's still sold several thousand in the last year. Um, so that's definitely that's definitely a popular one.
That's one of my most favorite books, and I talk about it a lot.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you.
In fact, Selena is associated with Matt Oren. Yeah. I love his approach to magic and basic reality.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so let me see. So for the aspiring creators right now, I wear bifocals, so I
hmm
keep having to go like
That's
this.
gonna be me soon. That's gonna be me.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh.
Uh, they call me a Pez head when I do that. So I have everybody saying, watch me, make sure I don't do that. For the aspiring creators watching right now, uh what's the one piece of PR wisdom they can start using today to build their own platform? I really got to write these things down on a different paper.
It's a good question. Mine would be figure out what type of creator you are, or what kind of content. I don't really like that word. It just kind of doesn't sit well yet. I think maybe we just need more time with it. What kind of content creator are you? Are you the interviewer, like this show? Are you a writer? Do you create art that's digestible on a platform like Instagram or whatever? Do you make short form content that would be good for, again, Instagram, TikTok, whatever? Or are you someone who wants to write that essay, or even 3 or 4 paragraphs of like material that you feel good about sharing? Maybe something like a Substack or a Patreon is the way, or a newsletter is the way you want to share that. So the first step I would tell somebody who's like, I've got all these ideas. I love this kind of content. I've got my daily practice. I have this, I have that, but I want to like give back to the world in some way. How do I want to do that? That's man, it's touching on stuff that I'm also working on in my own stuff, but like fi- figure out who you are, which I know is like kind of a crazy thing to say, especially for those of us who like grew up and went through our 20s and 30s and are like, oh, I know I'm a insert this identity, insert this and that. Who are you as a creator? What kind of content do you want? I just had a meeting with an author that I worked with last year who's also still trying to figure that out. They tried the Instagram thing, but I'm like, your writing is so much better long form. Where's your Substack? Let's pump that up because that's where you shine. They weren't getting the return on like the social media game that some folks are really good with. Like that's not where you are. That's not where you're at. You're over here giving people stuff to chew on, to sit down with their coffee or tea or whatever drink or whatever they're doing. That's where you shine. So kind of figuring out what kind of content you want to create and how best to deliver that to an audience.
Um, what what is how do you soften somebody up when you know you're going to have to deliver some not so happy news to them?
Well, luckily I don't have to deliver too much bad news. Most of my news is, hey, so and so wants you on your show. Hey, let's go do this event
I
at this
love
place.
that.
Most of my news is that. Um, and maybe it's an avoidance technique or something, but I'm just like, if I get it, hey, how are those podcasts going? Or like, hey, who have you pitched? Or remember, like, I've pitched to a couple dozen shows, haven't heard back yet, but let's try this. So it's a little bit of like, this isn't working. Let's focus on either a new tactic or focus on what is working. I'm
S-
big on what's the growth edge. Where's your strength? I'm really bad at chemistry. I tried it for several semesters in college until they said, you can leave college now. And I said, damn it. But my growth edge it was in a different college, which was in a different area of study. And I was so much happier and so much better there. If I would love to have been good at chemistry. I love the sciences. I was great in biology, I was terrible in chemistry. So when authors are coming to me like, what's not working? I was like, well, where's your growth edge? Where's your strength? This isn't working over here. Let's find a new path. Let's find something that you're real, what is working from you and beef that up and grow from there.
So, um, when I've always wondered about this, new shops that open up, um, how do you get connected with them? Do they contact you? Do you contact them?
Most folks know about Llewellyn. Like like we began this conversation. Like we've been around for
They're a growing
125.
company. Yeah,
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 growing. They'll get there someday.
yeah. Mhm.
uh, hopes and prayers. Um, no, most people know about Llewellyn. There's a number of different ways that if you are a shop owner, you're a wholesale, you buy wholesale. You can go to the website, scroll down, look for booksellers. If that's you, you can submit a application for a wholesale account, and then you get your account and you can start placing orders for books to sell. There's Fair, which is also which is an online business, a B2B marketplace where people can purchase Llewellyn titles for wholesale. That's something we've just started doing this year, so that's super exciting. Um, how else can Ingram? Again, if you're a bookseller, you know about Ingram. You get books from Ingram. Yeah, so most people know about Llewellyn. There's also a big trade show coming up in June. I'm not in sales, so I can't remember if it's June or July. It's June, maybe May, called Namaste. It's taking the place of INATS, which, if you knew back in the day, INATS was the big trade show for the mind, body, spirit industry. All the booksellers went to it. Or all the book publishers went to it. If you're a bookseller, you would go there and place in your big orders because you generally got good deals if you went to the trade show. But INATS is no longer there. Namaste, it's happening in Texas, is going to be taking its place. So we're really excited to see those folks that used to come to that trade show and want to get more books into their bookstores.
Trade shows are fun. When I was in the beauty industry, I used to love going to trade shows, and I had a Pretty Woman moment at a trade show. It was awesome. Um, at the time, I had my head shaved and had I looked like a gangbanger, basically. Um, I didn't look like a nail tech. and I went to a show in Phoenix, and I was going to buy a new drill. Pardon me, electronic file. Um, you can't call them drills.
No.
I was going to buy one, and it was about $450, and I was waiting in line to get up there, and I get to the front, and the lady wouldn't help me. She was helping everyone around me, and I finally caught on. I was like, "This bitch ain't what." Um, and I went back into class, and one of the girls there was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm Julia Roberts." It was funny. So trade shows, long-winded way of saying it. They're fun. So
Yeah. I only went once, but I had a good time. You're more likely to see me at the conventions and the those kind of things like
what are your
Pagana.
favorite conventions? I was
So the
gonna
Big
say
Five.
sorry.
No, it's great. The Big Five are really great, and by that I mean PaganaCon, which is here in the Twin Cities. I've gone, I think, 10 years, other than the one year it was canceled because of COVID. Nobody was doing conventions that year. Convocation, I've done 2 years in a row. Convocation's over in Detroit, technically Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor, that area. That one's really fun. Sacred Space, Between the Worlds. Sacred Spaces every year. Between the Worlds is every couple of years. It has to do with astrology. But Sacred Space is so much fun. I think I spent my 34th birthday there. That was really fun. I loved that. That was a really cool conference. Mystic South, I've gone several times. That's in Atlanta in July. Mystic South is great. If you're in the southeastern United States, go to Mystic South. It's so much fun. I would love to get out to the Pacific Northwest and do Spirit Northwest, which is new, but I've been hearing great things the last 2 years. So
There's a new tarot convention that's just started in California.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah, with James Jude is one of the organizers, um, from James Jude Tarot.
Taking notes. James Jude
Yes.
Tarot Conference CA.
I just talked to him. And this
Perfect.
is networking, peeps.
Exactly. See, this is lovely. I love it.
Do you ever have anything in Arizona?
Arizona. I think there's no, I'm thinking Reno. Arizona Pagan Pride Day. Is that in Tucson?
I don't know.
That
Now I
sounds,
want to go. I
yeah.
live an hour away from Tucson. That's what I asked.
Yeah, check out Tucson Pagan Pride. I believe it's in September. It's either in August or September. And I know the Druids that go there. They're a great group of people. So if you go, say hi.
I will. So I'm going to open the floor up. We've had some really good questions for Marcus today. If anybody has anything you'd like to know about the Publicist side of Oracle and Tarot and books for Llewellyn, now's your chance to ask. I was going to say, you're not going to get another chance, but Selena's going to have you on. So
I saw that Selena did ask if I read all of them. I do read with all the decks. I do test them out. I love to see all the cards. Love to see which ones resonate. Because that's kind of easy. You know, you can do that at your desk and play with the cards and ask questions and just get a good feel for it. Actually, the Labanco is one of my new favorite decks. It came out. It was a Kickstarter that was very successful, and then the author and artist brought it to us, and we were like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do a mass market." And it's fantastic. This deck has got teeth. If you want a deck to really go, not, say, hey, we're going through, you're going through something, let's go through it together. This deck is gonna get you there. I love this deck.
what kind of deck is it? Now I'm curious.
So it's, I wouldn't say, I believe, does it have something about RWS? in the copy, it it doesn't
Is it
say
a
art.
shadow work type deck?
It definitely has a shadow work feel. The colors are very electric, I would say. So you've got um this is the one I use at my desk. But there's lots of like black backgrounds, but just everything else is electric. Like
I love that.
it's
That's
so cool.
definitely my vibe. That's I
Yeah.
I like Chris Butler art, and that's very.
Yeah. If you want, I believe E. Lubanco does interviews. So have them on your show. They're
I would
fantastic.
love that. More notes. Hold on.
And there are 3 different lovers cards, so you can either have all 3 of them in, or you can pick the one that the the gender combo that feels right to you.
The more and more decks are being inclusive that way, I've
Yeah,
noticed. There a lot of the Lenormand decks, because of the way that system works. That for you who don't know, Lenormand works in pairs. They're not alone. Um, you need 2 at least to get a good message. They now have, instead of just the man and woman, you can put the man and man, the woman and woman, the
very
man,
cool.
woman, man, man, in just whatever combination you want. Um, and that's something I appreciate. What I don't appreciate is I'm a traditionalist. I don't like more than 78 tarot cards. It's a personal thing for me. Um, it was a beautiful deck. I love. I'm not going to name it. Gorgeous. I needed a softer deck, so I got that one, and it had extra cards, and I've never picked it up again. It's I think I might have given it away. Um, no. And it's the only one I kept with extra cards. Selena sent me a Lenormand deck, and it's got extra cards. Since I didn't know Lenormand at the time, that one made it under my barbed wire there. But, more
So
is always better. You know what? That is not always true. Ask any gay man; they'll tell you the same thing. Um, Selena, stop it. She does interviews.
yeah, I'll send E some interview requests. I'm sure she'll look forward to that. Or
Anytime
they'll,
you
excuse me.
have artists that you want to
Yeah,
throw
and
on my channel, I would be more than happy to
I
do that.
think they took 10 years to do this deck before they brought it to put it Kickstarter.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a decade-long project. They painted every single one of the paintings. In fact, actually, the Knight of Wands in this deck is literally one of my most favorite cards of any deck I've ever seen or worked with, and I've been reading tarot for over 20 years. So, um, yeah, the
Love
Knight of
that.
Wands, I was like, oh, I don't know what E was feeling or intuiting that day, but that is just so, it feels very fairy to me, very, yeah, it's so cool.
Tarot Stash wants to interview you also, Marcus.
Nice.
Gerald is one of the individuals who I owe my channel to. He was one of my very
Wonderful.
first people I connected with. And this is all a result of his encouragement, along with Chris Butler and Ramon Santiago Monscarab. Um, the networking aspect of our community, I love.
Same. I love networking. It's how we get to know each other. It's how we get to share our work with each other, whether that's this kind of publicity stuff or actually the work that you do of writing or presenting or whatever it is. I think networking is fantastic.
You can never have too many connections.
Hmm.
You learn by networking. That's the big thing with me. It's not just making those connections, it's widening your understanding of the world every time you make a connection like that. Um, personal opinion and all that stuff. Um, every time you post those little happy face Gerald, it just makes me giggle. Uh, that he resembles the little meme. It's so cute. So, Marcus, I want to thank you for being here today. Um, everybody, the links in the description box for Llewellyn. Um, I want to know about Marcus, the person, and the spiritual being, and what gives Marcus joy. Um, all right, let's go in that direction before we let you go. Because now I'm curious. You said you were married.
I am married. I've been married for a little over a year and a half. Although I've been with my husband we've been together for almost 5 years. So, and what brings me joy, he brings me so much joy. Yeah, we complement each other in so many different ways. Um, yeah, he's the person I go home to that I'm excited to tell about whatever, the person that I will talk to about work stuff or what I'm thinking or he's just I I will do anything for him and he'll do anything for me. It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Yeah, I've been with my partner for 25, 6, 7 centuries. Um, we're very happy. Um,
Nice.
and
Congratulations.
surprisingly, we've both refrained from smothering the other one in their sleep. Yay! Win. Um,
It takes work, doesn't it, to not do
it
that?
does.
He wants to do
Well,
it so bad.
have you ever seen those videos where the guy's asleep and the girl's laying next to him and just out of nowhere she goes whoosh and then lays down? I think about that a lot. Just not because I want to do it, just because I want to freak him out.
He used to startle and scare me, but I told him, "You can't do that. I'm gonna get a heart attack one of these days.
That's the sucky part.
I'm too fragile."
He has a heart condition and he scares me all the time and I can't scare him back. Um, just last night, I came out of one room, he came out of the other room at like 3 in the morning. We both met accidentally in the hallway and I went into some kind of convulsion going, and he just sat there and laughed at me. So,
I
uh,
get it.
I love my old man. What's your husband's name?
His name is Daniel.
Daniel. What a
Yeah,
beautiful name. I've
he
got an
is
Oscar.
Oscar. That's wonderful. Yeah, no, I love it. He is my person, and we knew we were each other's persons from pretty much a couple. We went on a couple dates, and it was like, yeah, this is gonna be a long-term thing, isn't it? And sure enough, it was. And I couldn't, there's ups, there's downs, but we come back to each other, and we're stronger every day. It's incredible.
My partner it deserves a lot of credit for putting up with me for these decades. And God bless him for not burying me out in the desert. Um,
Oh, mine told he was gonna bury me in the backyard yesterday, so it's totally fine. I get it.
plant a tree over it.
That's exactly what he said he was gonna do. And I was like, "That's fine.
That's
Fine."
true. Is he also magically minded?
He is, yes. Which
Do you
makes
find
Hmm?
magic a necessity?
I never thought I never thought I wanted to be with someone who was also a witch and did ritual and blah blah blah. Um, but it's one of the things we get to do together. I've got my stuff and he's got his stuff, but we will come together and do we'll do the Sabbath rituals. We'll sometimes help bounce ideas for different spells or rituals that we're doing. Um, so yeah, it's really wonderful to be able to share that side of myself or that part side. I don't know. Boundaries are weird. Definitions are weird,
Right.
but to be able to not
That
have to
aspect.
that aspect and not have to explain, I can just say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do ritual today, or I'm gonna go do my meditation in the morning." And so he knows that when I'm doing chanting something or making interesting noises because I my practice can be ecstatic at times. He's not like, what the hell is he doing over there? I don't have to explain any of that, which is wonderful, but also allows me to be in the comfort of my own home and my own space and be free without having to say, oh, well, if I'm too loud or if I sound too weird or blah 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 blah, then he's gonna have questions. And I would think about that, and now I'm kicked out of my ritual headspace and blah blah. Nope. I get to be as loud and as connected as I want to be in that moment.
Here's a funny story. My husband is very Christian,
Okay.
and I am very witchy. Um, he, he one time when we were moving from Yuma to Phoenix, um, we had packed up the RV, dogs were loaded, and I remembered something. And I went back in the house. I forgot to invite my protective spirits to go with me to
Mhm.
the new house. Um, so I went back in, thought he was going to stay in the truck, and I'm in the house, arms raised, chanting, and the door opens up, and I'm sitting there. Like, he had never seen me do anything like this before. This is like 25 years ago. Um, and I just turned around like that, and all he did was he looked and stepped back and pulled the door shut. So that was a meeting of the minds there. So yeah, just that reminded me I had to bring that up.
No, it's good.
He does not want anything to do with my work, um, my belief system, but he gives me all the space to be myself.
Mhm.
Um, and I love that about him.
That's wonderful.
For that, he may live another day. Bob just keeps on going after 31 years. 31 years. Homegirl, good for you. On purpose? No, all right, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I have monopolized our friend Marcus here for a while. Please stay tuned to Essence of the Moon's channel. Selena will be having a show come up soon, and I'll connect Marcus with Gerald. So,
Well, thank
because when
you.
Gerald says something like that, he means it.
No,
He doesn't.
I love talking about my work. I love talking about all this stuff. I'm a very interesting person, I think. I love who I am. So anytime someone wants to interview me about Llewellyn or what it's like being a publicist or what it's like
I
working in the
actually
witchcraft
want to have
industry.
you. I want to have you back on a deeper level, on a personal level, as a witch.
Sure.
That I do like to ask questions based on the 21 um, or on the cards of the major arcana.
Oh, fabulous.
Um,
How fun is that? I love that.
so that is something I will talk to you about backstage. Yes, you will enjoy the chat with Gerald very much. He is a
Awesome.
phenomenal guy who I love very dearly. Um, before I go, what is your favorite deck?
So I love the Thoth deck. That is the first deck I started with. It's what I learned with, and it branched out from there with the hermetics and the astrology and the kabbalistic work, and it's the deck I continue to go to. I've said it's one of my favorites. I love the shadowscapes because I love those beautiful watercolors of Stephanie's. When I was reading at the shop, that's one that I used all the time. So I've had that deck for probably a good 10 years, and she's got a new one, the Verdance Tarot. So if you like the Shadowscapes, pick up Verdance Tarot. Um, I also like the Lubanco. Like I said, this is probably one of my new favorite decks. This deck has got teeth. It is um, really, you want to look into the well of your self and your soul and your path. I honestly would recommend picking this up because it's going to vibrate on kind of that deeper kind of psychological shadow work level. And then a non-Llewellyn deck, I do like the Sabbath Tarot because sexy naked men.
I was gonna say the Sabbath Tarot.
I will.
If you guys don't know this deck, you're gonna
It's
clutch your pearls.
it's fantastic. I love how thick the cardstock is. Love
Yeah, the
the red
cardstock, that's what's
edges.
thick in it.
Not the only thing. Uh, I really do like working with that deck just because it is so erotic, and I love that about it.
The High Priestess card in that is
It's
amazing.
fantastic.
All of them are. The Devil
Yeah,
card, all of them.
it's a fantastic deck. So
Hot,
for
hot
not
dudes.
yes, which I love very much. So also
It's also
anything by Tempest.
expensive,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. I wish I would have asked that earlier, and I'm glad I didn't because I would have gotten totally off track. You start me talking about tarot, and it's free for all. All right,
Well, we'll have
everybody. I
to do
want to thank
another one when I'm not on work hours.
absolutely. I just realized how much time had gone by. Um, I was only going to keep you for an hour, and I apologize.
It's all good. We had a lot to talk about. People are going to be interested. Again, if you like any of the stuff, please, I'm going to, do the pitch at the end. Please pick up a Llewellyn deck, pick up a Llewellyn book. Llewellyn's a fantastic company. There's so much to learn from. That's one of the things like, well, I don't do Welsh witchcraft. Well, no, I don't. I don't. I just put a random book. Love Mara. But I want to learn about it. I don't have to practice what's in here, but I can certainly learn about it. So if you're interested in something, pick up a book from the library, pick up a book from your local bookstore. It's always appreciated by those shop owners and certainly appreciated by everyone here at Llewellyn.
And Selena has posted the Llewellyn link. There are further links in the description. Please check it out. Everybody, for now, I'm going to let us go. Marcus, stick around backstage. I will see you guys tomorrow for 420 Tarot with Joey. All right. Yes. And then Thursday night with Selena. And I know I've got something else coming up. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, everybody. Mark, stick around. Marcus. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My ex's name was Marcus. That's why. Mark. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. And remember, don't ever